been looking forward to speaking with you today. I understand that last week a friend of mine was here, and I really like Andy Z. I know you know who I'm talking about, and he's a friend of mine. I love Andy, and he and I have an opportunity to work together here in Birmingham with me at Hoover, and it's just great that we can all work together to try to help the cause of Christ in this area. Appreciate Brother Tony, and what he does here. We've had him there at Hoover several times to speak. He does a great job, and I really appreciate very much him calling me and inviting me to be with you. My association with Jefferson Christian has been to come to the area wides that we have every year, and we have it at different locations in the churches. And so I'm just thankful to be able to be with you this morning. I promise you I'm not going to speak over an hour and a half, so we're going to be all right.
All right.
Tony said, all right. Overcoming laziness. Overcoming laziness. Laziness is a problem. And I have found in many years of living that if a person's lazy, they're not going to get anywhere. They're just going to stay where they are. They're not going to make any effort to accomplish anything much. And you look at the people that you're familiar with in sports, for example. If I mentioned several names to you in sports, you would recognize them immediately. What about Michael Phelps? You remember this past Olympics? Wasn't it the first race he ran? The other guy beat him. And it was pointed out by Michael himself, that he didn't really know if he really prepared hard enough for the Olympics. But then after that first race, you remember what happened? He went and he won several in a row. Well, sometimes that's going to happen, sometimes not. But most of the time, it's not going to happen. If a person has not prepared themselves in their lives, they're not going to get anywhere. And what I want to do this morning, just for the short period of time I have with you, to look at one of God's amazing creations, the ant. If you've ever seen ants work, you know that they don't waste any time. They get to work, and it doesn't seem like they have to be motivated very much. They not only work individually, but they work in teams. They work together. And in Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 to 11, the Bible tells us about the ant. And I'm going to take time to read all of it, but I just want to make some points to you to think about. And we can compare it to the ant. First of all, I want you to notice that the lazy person cannot work without constant supervision. Unless someone is looking over their shoulder all the time, they may not do very much. And what I want to challenge you this morning to be is a self-starter. And I want you to be a person that has character. Someone once said that a person that has character is what you do and how you act when nobody's looking. Think about that. When nobody is around, what you say, what you do, how you act, how do you conduct yourself. That's real character. And then that idea is found in verses 6 to 8. Number 2, a lazy person will not plan for the future. They're just satisfied with the status quo. And that point is found in verses 9 and 10. We should plan and prepare our lives with the future in mind. Some people spend money all month and then wonder why God doesn't provide for them and their needs. Number 3, lazy people, they have a tendency to sleep excessively. You ever been there? Sometimes we give credit to depression for what the Bible says is laziness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The same is given for being a couch potato, or have you heard, I know you've heard this term, vegging out. Okay? You've heard that. And then lazy people want things and expect things to be given to them without really working for them. I know that especially when young couples get married, they are expecting to have everything that their parents have for 25 or 30 years, but they're expecting it automatically at the very beginning of their marriage. It's not realistic, is it? We know that if you want to have something, you've got to have to work for it. You're going to have to put the time and effort into it to make a difference. And then we know that lazy people, they look for excuses not to work. I'll give you a personal example. When I was young, many years ago, my grandfather had a garden. He kept the garden, and we were expected to work in it. And I can remember on more than one occasion, I'm telling you the truth here, I prayed for rain because I didn't want to get out in the garden and work. Because I had so many other ideas of how I would like to use my time. And I just prayed that it would rain. But you know what? I noticed something. When I prayed that it would rain, most of the time it wouldn't rain. And I had to get out and work. And we plowed potatoes and picked them. I mean, we did all kinds of things. But yeah, I look back on that situation, and I'm thankful that it didn't rain. Because it helped me develop. It helped me with my character.
Yep.
It's easy to fall back on your laurels and not want to do anything. How much effort does that take? It takes no effort at all. And so we know that lazy people always look for excuses. Listen to Proverbs 24. The sluggard, the word sluggard means lazy. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg and harvest and have nothing. And then lazy people are mentioned alongside the people that are drunkards. Do you know that? What? Lazy people? Yes. The Bible aligns them with drunkards. In Proverbs 23:21, listen to it. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. Talking about laziness. But I want to challenge you this morning not to have laziness in your heart or in your life. Don't give in to that. But I want to challenge you to be diligent, to have diligence, to make something of your life. What does diligence mean? Here's what it means. Diligence is a devoted and painstaking effort to accomplish what is undertaken. Let me read that again. Diligence is a devoted and painstaking effort to accomplish what is undertaken. I want all of you to be that kind of person, to be diligent. And the diligent person makes full use of everything that he or she has. The diligent person appreciates what he or she has. And the diligent person develops a creative and resourceful attitude. Some people have the false idea that the world owes them something. And they're not going to do anything to work for it. That's a false assumption. The world owes us nothing. And if we want something, we will develop an attitude. I'm going to work for it, and I'm not going to expect it. I'm going to work hard. And what kind of feeling do you and I have when we work hard and we accomplish something? It's the greatest feeling in life, isn't it? I remember when I was 16 that I couldn't wait to drive my mother's big Caprice Classic, a big clunker. And it probably got 10, 15 miles per gallon. And I remember when I would be able to drive that, I really wasn't concerned about taking care of it. Not at all. I didn't really care. Now, I love my parents. Don't get me wrong. I tried to obey them as much as I could. But I really wasn't concerned about taking care of what that car needed. But you know what? Something interesting happened. That when I graduated from high school, it was time for me to get my own car, I looked at it differently. I wanted to sparkle that thing up. I wanted to make sure that everything was right. If there was so much as a dent in that car, it upset me. Whereas when I was 16, when I had the use of my mother's car, I wasn't really bothered. You know why I changed, don't you? Because I was the one starting to pay for that car. And it was different. The priorities were different. You know, Paul said, I am a debtor to all men. That's what he said. Now, 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10. I want Brother Tony to help me with something. It doesn't say in that verse, if any could not work, neither should he eat. But it says something else. It says, if any would not work. It doesn't say could not work, but it says, if any would not work, neither let him eat. What's the difference? What's the difference between the word could and the word would? What's that difference, Brother Tony?
Well, the difference is one of them has the ability to work but won't, and one of them wants to work but doesn't have the ability to work.
Okay. All right.
That's the difference. One of them lazy and one of them not.
That's right. Exactly. One of them sluggard, as the Bible talks about in Proverbs. One of them just doesn't care. They could work, but they don't want to work. They expect a handout. Isn't the world that we live in today, don't people expect handouts all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. How does that make us feel?
Angry.
If we're working hard, am I out of time, brother? Am I out of time?
Yeah.
Okay. If we're working hard, and we see somebody else that's not, it really aggravates us, right? I'll close with this real quick. As I was driving down the road right before the SEC championship, I heard a advertisement by Nick Saban. He was advertising for, the trucks. And this advertisement, you may have heard it. He was talking about how that when he was small, he would go fishing with his dad. And a friend of theirs, would come along. But he noticed that the man that was with he and his father would catch some large fish, some huge fish. But he also noticed something different. He said that every time this man would catch a big fish, he would throw it back in the lake. And Coach Saban said, I didn't understand that. Why did he do that? Well, Nick Saban's dad told him, he said, well, this man's kitchen, he only has one 9-inch around skillet. And when he catches a big fish, that fish will not fit in that skillet, so he throws those fish back. He only has a certain size of a skillet to fit a certain size fish. And Coach Saban ends that advertisement by saying, I decided right then and there that no matter what I did in life, if I was a coach or a teacher or a father or whatever, I decided right then and there that I was going to do all that I could with a skillet the size of the moon. Now I want to challenge you. Live your life. Don't be lazy. You work hard for what you get. And you yourself, and along with others that you encourage, you live your life like you have a skillet the size of the moon.
Amen.